This is USVI News, your Virgin Islands connection.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for USVI News. I'm Emily Matson. Vitima is well underway with its installation of 44 new tsunami alarm systems, which will go up all throughout the territory. The 2017 hurricanes destroyed the old tsunami alarms, and since then, the territory has been moving to restore them. These efforts of this $1.6 million project began this month and are scheduled to finish in June.
To make sure that the monies are well spent. We had $1.6 million right now. 90% of that was federal funding and 10% of that was territorial funding. So we've already spent half of that putting together these beautiful poles behind me, and these are no longer the wooden poles. These are what's considered hot dip steel galvanized poles. So the poles themselves are very strong, much stronger than wood. Still on top of that pole, you see what's called the tsunami head. Basically, it's the actual spot where the tone comes out that gives the alert. So it's intended down here at Makin's Bay, anybody on the beach, if they hear the tone, to immediately take action and go to higher elevation. So obviously you're at sea level now, you want to get up to about 80 feet elevation-wise, or up about 4 to 6 stories up. So typically you've only about 10 minutes to do that in a real tsunami alert, based upon what happened in 1867 with the tsunami hitting us between St. Croix and St. Thomas, based upon an earthquake that happened. So this is a real opportunity. This is the first one of 44 to go in place. We're going to focus on 19 of them going on St. Thomas. That 17 will be like behind me, installed on poles. 2 will be actually on buildings, and then we'll go over to Water Island. We have 1. We have 7 to go on St. John, and then we'll go over to St. Croix to finish up with 17 over there. St. Thomas is the toughest one to put in place because of all the traffic, all the population here, the hills, the challenges. That's why we're picking up on this. We started pretty much the 5th of April, and we should be finishing the project by the end of June. One of the keys to this is how hard it is to put that foundation in. We're putting the steel poles in deep in the ground, about 10 feet. Already today, we've hit bedrock and had to get permission to dig in even deeper, but they're very, very solid poles, and the system is backed up and operational. We look forward to having it further deployed on St. Thomas, St. John, St. Croix, and Water Island.
It's great to know those important alarm systems are being updated and installed throughout the territory. Now to some big news about our neighboring territory, Puerto Rico. A contentious hearing on Capitol Hill this week about the potential of Puerto Rico's statehood. Congress is considering 2 options which are very different. Our USVI News Washington correspondent Matt Knadler explains where things stand.
The 2 dueling bills that could determine Puerto Rico's future are under the microscope on Capitol Hill.
Only 2 non-territorial and constitutional status options are statehood and independence.
Puerto Rico remains at the mercy of the federal government.
The first bill, introduced by Puerto Rico Congresswoman Jennifer Gonzalez Colon and Florida Congressman Darren Soto. The proposed path to statehood looks like this. Congress would have to approve Puerto Rico as a state. Puerto Rican voters would then have to vote for statehood once again, and then President Biden would ratify the vote. During last November's election, 52% of Puerto Rican voters supported a non-binding referendum approving statehood.
Letting the losing minority deny the clear choice of the majority in a free and fair vote isn't democracy.
The second bill, known as the Puerto Rico Self-Determination Act, was introduced by New York Congresswoman and Puerto Rico native Nydia Velázquez. They want to create a status convention where delegates determined by Puerto Rican voters would develop long-term solutions for the territory. Those options include statehood, free association, and others outside of the current territorial agreement.
Should be about a process that respects the will of the people and not how to stack the deck towards a particular status option.
The hearing itself is a positive sign for supporters of both bills. Lawmakers introduced a similar statehood measure during the last Congress. It also received a House hearing, but not in the Senate. As lawmakers debate the future of Puerto Rico's statehood, the U.S. House expected to vote soon on Washington, D.C. statehood. On Capitol Hill, Matt Knadler reporting.
Now to the latest on COVID-19 case counts here in the territory. The latest numbers from the Virgin Islands Department of Health show there are currently 62 active cases throughout the VI. There are 31 cases in St. Croix, 29 in St. Thomas, and 2 in St. John. Meantime, the so-called pause continues for the Johnson & Johnson version of the coronavirus vaccine. A CDC advisory committee is yet to make a decision on the fate of the vaccine version moving forward. After a Wednesday meeting, which lasted several hours, panel members said they needed more time. It all comes after all 50 states paused J&J vaccinations during reports of what they're calling extremely rare blood clots. The CDC says 6 people out of nearly 7 million who got that single shot version developed serious blood clots. As we've been telling you, though, here in the Virgin Islands, they have not been distributing the J&J vaccine. The Moderna and Pfizer vaccine is the vaccine the Virgin Islands Department of Health is distributing to its residents. Meantime, committee members say they will continue to look at the data and potentially make a decision on the Johnson & Johnson vaccine in the coming weeks. Well, efforts to increase COVID vaccinations in the territory are increasing through the help of COVID vaccine drives. This week, the Department of Health partnered with a local St. Thomas business to host a COVID vaccination drive. Dr. Esther Ellis and Deputy Commissioner Hudia Charles helped facilitate the efforts, where about 40 VI residents received COVID shots. The event was open to the public with special attention on reaching the territory's Latino community.
The governor has indicated that it's critical that we have all members of our community, despite their socioeconomic status or their immigration status, to have them vaccinated in an effort to attain that goal of herd immunity. The population primarily that was vaccinated today are of Latin descent, from the Latin community, and in conversation with them, most are employees and patrons of this business, and they have indicated that they were apprehensive to actually get the vaccine based on being formally offered at different sites. So I thought it would be more friendly to offer it here in a setting that they're comfortable in, that they're familiar with, and it was just humbling that the Department of Health was willing to partner with us as a local business community to offer this vaccination to members of our Latin community.
It's very important that we do the vaccine to everybody that really wants the vaccine, so that we can get to the herd immunity, and everybody, the most about the vaccine, it will be better for us to try to get over this virus.
Meantime, as health experts work to understand long-haul COVID, both they and long-haul patients have been surprised by a fairly new development. Some patients are finding their symptoms lessen or completely go away after they're vaccinated.
For months, Kelly House dealt with long-haul COVID symptoms, including headaches and fatigue.
It really was debilitating.
Then she got vaccinated.
And all of a sudden, I was feeling better. I mean, literally, something kicked in.
It's an unexpected new piece of the COVID puzzle. Some COVID long haulers seeming to find relief via vaccines. Patient advocacy group Survivor Corps recently surveyed nearly 900 members. 41% reported their symptoms improved or disappeared altogether post-shot.
We were prepared for everything to go wrong. The one scenario we had not considered was that people would actually feel better from it.
But health experts and researchers don't yet know why or if it's permanent. One theory is the vaccines may clear out any virus still lingering in the body. Another, that COVID could be causing an autoimmune disease, and the vaccine acts as a sort of reset for the immune system.
Whatever we find, I believe is going to be very useful going forward in developing a therapy.
Yale immunologist Dr. Akiko Iwasaki is preparing to launch a study looking at the blood and saliva samples of long-haul patients before and after vaccination.
Even just trying to understand what type of symptoms people are experiencing and how that changes with the vaccine alone would be incredibly informative.
Kelly House hopes it leads to others experiencing relief similar to hers.
I felt like I got a piece of myself back that I lost when I got COVID.
Shots of hope after months of suffering.
Like a vaccine bonus for many people suffering from those long-haul symptoms from COVID. Well, Yale University is working with Survivor Corps to enroll long-haul patients in their study. Initially, it will be open to people just located in the mainland state of Connecticut, but it does have plans to expand nationwide. Well, in consumer news, retail sales surge as Americans stimulate the economy with their stimulus checks. Retail sales rose a whopping 9.8% in March. That's according to the Commerce Department, with the sporting goods sector seeing the biggest gain. That's followed by clothing and motor vehicle parts and dealers. Food and beverage sales also saw a big bump, thanks, of course, in part to many states relaxing COVID restrictions. Well, this weekend and the next, student athletes will be honoring St. Croix sports legend Eugene "Genex" Thomas at the territory's first Memorial Softball Baseball Tournament. It's a tournament for varsity and JV softball and baseball student athletes. It runs from Thursday, April 15th through the 17th, and next weekend, April 22nd through the 24th, at the Kanagata Baseball Park on St. Croix. Opening ceremonies for the game will be this Friday, the 16th at 8:15 p.m. Eugene Thomas was a coach and trainer who coached student athletes on St. Croix for more than 5 decades. It's important to note, though, the games are not open to the public, but they will be streamed live on the department's education Facebook page.